I am not home yet. I'm going home in the morning as little man goes to school. He turned the camera around. I was just watching a video from Michelle After Dark talking about similarities of the missing Tudor girl from Tennessee 22 years ago and Summer Wells case. And it jogged something really serious that I got to get out before I forget. Doesn't matter if anybody tunes in and everybody's part of Afterplay. So let's see if it'll let me rewind. Tabitha Tudor, I believe, is who she's talking about. I'm just going to let it play while I talk. And when it pulls up the picture, I'll show y'all. Okay. She's talking about Summer, who is who I'm going to be talking about. She was pointing out similarities between the Tudor case and how all of a sudden, 17 years after she was missing, they did a search on a property that was like 10, 12 miles away, similar to Summers, that had long since been on the police radar, but hadn't been on the public radar. Somebody they were watching that had previously owned that property. And it jogged something in my mind, you guys. Two things. One, something somebody missed. There's a red truck, apparently, that was sold maybe for scrap or something. Somehow the registration to it was traced back to the son of the man that owned that property. Allegedly, in my opinion, that was reported and then quickly discarded and not reminded. But the Randy guy, in my opinion, First Amendment right there. Okay, now, Michelle, strictly for you. So you were talking about Tabitha Tudor's case right here and the similarities to Summers' case and how nothing came out of the news, no press conference, nobody come and told anything. They just randomly showed up on this 7-acre piece of property and started searching it. And after the fact, they said it was tied to someone that had long been on their radar, but they hadn't really been able to do a direct link to the crime of the missing girl. Okay, I direct you to Asia Degree. 25 years after Asia Degree went missing here in Shelby, North Carolina, they randomly showed up on a property near the area where she was spotted. She left walking from her home in the middle of the night. Nobody knew where, nobody knew why. There was a backpack of hers found here near where I live over a year after she went missing, which was on a route for people that owned a nursing home to be driving to the local mental facility, akin to Dorothea Dix. It's called Broughton Hospital, where they often took their patients. Okay? Why is that important? The property that 25 years later they ended up searching, the only reason we, the public, found out about it was because we saw a car similar to one that was described in a sketch that was on the record that they were searching for within months after Asia going missing, on a rollback being removed from that property. Because we got video, news agencies showed up, locals showed up. There was video. It was like a 3, 4 day search because they ended up searching that property and an adjacent property. We found out who owned it due to tax records and property records. My point is that the police department ended up having to come out and make a statement. They didn't do so first. They only did so because we saw the SBI, the FBI, and the local team out there. And what was said was someone had made a statement. They got busted for something else, you know what I'm saying? And they made a statement. Kinda seems like it was an ex-husband of one of the daughters of the man that owned the property that got searched. Then diaries were found. And long story short, they took stuff from the property. That's been over a year ago. We've heard nothing since. But I tell you this because it jogged something in my mind. And I thought it was important to get it out before I lost it. Maybe I'm getting dementia or old timers or something, but I got to get it out while I know it. And what I know is somebody got busted and they ran their mouth and told something that gave police what they needed to search the property, that they had long suspected this person. It's adjacent to the shed where a pencil and a crayon and a hair bow and a piece of candy wrapper was found that all were allegedly in the little girl's pocketbook and one of her hair bows, that was in her hair at the ball game that night. It was Valentine's Day. Happy freaking Valentine's. She was allegedly upset because after, like, I don't know, years, her whole life of living there in that duplex, her parents were buying a house. They were going to sign the papers the next day. By the way, these parents, they got accused, they got dragged through the mud. Do you know that it was over 19 and a half years before they moved from that house because they didn't want to change anything because they wanted her to know where to come home to? This man owned a racial school. It was a lot. But let me say this. He had long been under suspicion. Him and his family. They even had a suspicion of what happened. That one of two of the three daughters was driving a car and either stopped and picked her up and somebody panicked, or that they accidentally hit her because it was an extra foggy night, which has always been emphasized, which is kind of funny to us. But in retrospect, it makes sense based on their theory. In my opinion, they think that one of the daughters that didn't have a license and was underage was driving her on that road, which is Highway 18, coming out of Morganton going to Forest City, Shelby, rough town, as we call it. The point is, it's right on the trail where the backpack was found. It all fits in a nice timeline. There was also a trucking company, a farm, garden. There was a lot. But there was two nursing homes, and there's a history of animal cruelty, allegedly, according to court records. There was a lot that put him on the radar. Well, hey, stalker. Well, I didn't know we was having all that, but whatever. Anyway, I just hope Michelle sees this because I want to know what you think. It's Asia Degree from Shelby, North Carolina, Forest City. Went missing Valentine's Day. She walked out of her house. Similar to both cases we're talking about, walked away and was never seen again. And they did a random search 25 years after the baby girl went missing, out of the blue. And like I said, the only reason that we, the people, found out about it, hey Scuba, is simply because that car came out on a rollback and people talked. If people don't talk and don't go on camera and keep their mouth shut, but know why they were there and what led them there, would we know? If the police don't tell us and the suspects that led them to the property or those that know about it ain't talking to the press or the public or YouTubers or a big mouth friend, how will we know, y'all? Real stuff. That's really all this was about. I wanted to know. I wanted to put that out there because I watched Michelle's video on the Tudor girl, and it really jogged that in my mind. Two things. One, in my opinion, if I didn't dream it, there was a Randy Hill, the same one that was supposed to be the tree trimmer. Maybe it's Fred that said it. I'm not sure. So I'm saying this is my opinion and thoughts. This car was sold like 2023 or 2024 or to someone or for scrap or whatever, and somehow it was reported to the cops. They checked it out. The registration came back to that Addie with that man's name, and it's not the old person that lives there, and not the property owner, someone that previously used that address and may still on occasion, in my opinion. But it's 27 acres, and an 81-year-old man can't be expected to monitor all 27 acres 24/7, you know? And people that would normally be there are not going to be looked at sideways for being there, in my opinion. Real talk. Okay, hold on. My cousin works in your... Uh-huh. Oh wow, I believe that on Asia Degree, especially since that search, because there's supposed to be clothes and articles that weren't incinerated. A lot of times when someone passes in the hospital or at nursing homes, or just at home, clothes are donated to certain charities and organizations. That's how nursing homes get clothes to their clients that don't have, that are like wards of the state or don't have money. In my opinion, that's what happened at three that I worked for when I was way younger, and I was a CNA at the time. Um, they wrote our names on it, sometimes with the little cloth sticky things, you know, or sometimes just with a Sharpie, but usually it was on the inside collar and the waistband of pants. And just there has been some allegations. There was some donated suspect items, maybe a purse and a tooth and some other things. What's outdoorsy life? How are you? Again, thank you for being just a good friend. Okay, I wanted to get that out about Asia. What's up, Miss Justice? I want to thank you guys for tuning in this late. It's cold. I'm outside. I haven't gone home yet. I'm supposed to be going home as little man goes to minimize gas and time and stuff, which is great for me because I have heat tonight. I'm not complaining. And I just saw Michelle Walks and was listening to it and wanted to get that out there and tag her and hope that she would hear it and give her thoughts and opinions. It never dawned on me. I never asked the why because I heard about the red truck and the registration. But like I said, that could have been Fred. It could have been a dream. It could have been an imagination of mine. But after 25 years, the reason they went to Asia's house is because we had video cameras. After people put stuff on Facebook, it drew the news media's attention, and they didn't do it in a day. It took them like 2.5 days of teams. There was like 50 or plus cars at both places. And we found out there was actually 5 places simultaneously searched, not the 2 we first knew about and the third we found out about. So were there any other places they searched when they searched that Van Hill place? And who got busted? Who was facing some time maybe and made a plea bargain and got a little cheese or, a ham and cheese sandwich and dropped a dime on somebody? They didn't have to be involved. Maybe they saw something. Maybe they said, hey, so-and-so sold this truck to so-and-so. You need to look at where they was at during that time. That's all it had to be. Am I wrong? I don't, they're not the old folks' home, but I just explained. It has to do with clothing and items. And the person that passed away, allegedly, in Asia Degree's case that gave the statement, that was his last residence, was the nursing home. Allegedly, he was being taken to an evaluation when whatever occurred in that case. That was the alleged, in my opinion, statements that led to the search. According to what I read, documents filed in the court where the police gave their reasons for the search warrant, that was the reason that they were searching all those residents tied to a missing child's case. Huh. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I understand that part. I get that discovering the truth. I always felt like that was why, but it never really dawned on me that that was the reason for the search. I took the red truck thing and heard that, digested it, and really didn't think no further. But what gave them the truck after all this time? I think somebody. I think somebody's talking, and I think those involved are going to sit down and be silent and wide-eyed to see if another shoe drops. And that makes me smile. And on that note, I'm going to say peace, love, and light. I can't feel my hands. I don't want to get frostbite. I will see y'all in the daylight.